So this morning we're going to be in Numbers chapter 13. This event actually covers chapters 13 and 14. It's kind of a big deal in the history of Israel. And originally, Moses just kind of plays a peripheral part in all of this and what's about to take place, as you'll see. And I was just going to kind of gloss over it and move on to other parts of his life, but it fits in with what's going on in our world today. And so I felt like it really kind of has something to teach us, something that we can glean from it as we contemplate what do you do when everyone around you seems to be terrified of something, and depending on your personal perspective on all of this that's going on in our world today, you either think the world's coming to an end, or you think everybody has lost their marbles. But either way, what do you do? What do you do when the world is all in an uproar over something? And that's kind of what had happened with the Israelites, and that's kind of what Moses had to deal with here in these two chapters. They've left Mount Sinai, where God gave them their commandments, gave them their laws, told them how they were going to function as a nation. Now they've traveled a bit, they've had some adventures along the way, and they come to this place where they're now on the border of the land that God said that He was going to give them to. And at the beginning of chapter 13, the Lord spoke to Moses and said, "Send men to scout out the land of Canaan I am giving to the Israelites. Send one man who is a leader among them from each of their ancestral tribes." And so Moses picks out 12 guys, one from each of the tribes of Israel, and he sends them in, and they go in and they scout out the land, and they discover it's exactly as God told them it would be. He told them, "I will take you to land flowing with milk and honey," which is an ancient phrase that means it's really good. It's a fertile land, which means they've been wandering around in the desert for a while since leaving Egypt, and not much grows out in the desert. And so they go in, and there's this little strip of land, which is where Israel is nowadays, that is a strip of fertile land that goes along the Mediterranean Sea, and then you got this big expanse of desert and wilderness before you get over to other fertile land. And so that little strip of land, long ago God said, "This is the land I'm going to give you," and now they go in and they see it, and it's great, it's fine, it's dandy, except for a couple of problems that they discover there. And so when the 12 men come back from the scouting mission in chapter 13, starting in verse 26, this is what they report. It says, "Then the men went back to Moses, Aaron, and the entire Israelite community in the wilderness of Paran at Kadesh. They brought back a report for them and the whole community. Then they showed them the fruit of the land. They reported to Moses, 'We went into the land where you sent us. Indeed, it is flowing with milk and honey, and here are some of its fruit. However, the people living in the land are strong, and the cities are large and fortified. We also saw the descendants of Anak there. The Amalekites are living in the land of the Negev. The Hethites, the Jebusites, and Amorites live in the hill country, and the Canaanites live by the sea and along the Jordan.' Then Caleb quieted the people in the presence of Moses and said, 'Let's go up now and take possession of the land, because we can certainly conquer it.' But the men who had gone up with him responded, 'We can't attack the people because they are stronger than we are.' So they gave a negative report to the Israelites about the land they had scouted. 'The land we passed through to explore is one that devours its inhabitants, and all the people we saw in it are men of great size. We even saw the Nephilim there, the descendants of Anak, come from the Nephilim. To ourselves we seem like grasshoppers, and we must have seemed the same to them.'" And then moving on into chapter 14, you find out the Israelites became afraid. They got scared from this report of the people that lived in the land. And so ultimately there was this argument between, there were 10 of the 12 that said, "This is a bad place to be. We need to leave." And then there was 2 of them, Joshua and Caleb, that said, "We should go in. God told us that He would be with us. God told us that this was our land. and things aren't as bad as you're saying they are. And then they'd say, yes, it's worse than you say it is, and we need to go back to Egypt. And in the end, the Israelites decided to not go into the land. And ultimately, God was displeased with this, and he told them that they would then wander around in the desert for 40 years until everyone 20 years old and over had passed away, except for Joshua and Caleb. And those two would be the only living adults who would be allowed to enter into the land. And then people decided, well, I don't want to wander around the desert 40 years, so they tried entering the land. And God said, I'm not going with you. And the people drove them back out, and then they wandered in the desert for 40 years. So it's a long story, and it's all based on this one incident of these 12 guys went in, looked at the situation, and 10 of them panicked. And so we live in a time, some people are calling this unprecedented. We've never seen something like this in our history. I'm 38 years old. Okay, some people think that's getting up there. I'm starting to get some age, I guess. I still kind of feel it, but whatever. I've seen, I don't know how many of these things happen. The swine flu, the bird flu, that was going to kill us all. The West Nile virus, Y2K, that was going to end the world. I remember staying up till midnight. Me and my dad, it's one of the few times he stayed up till midnight, and neither one of us really expected, but we were just curious because everyone was convinced the world was going to end. Midnight struck. And I looked at Dad, he looked at me, and he said, well, guess we're still here, and he went to bed. There's all kinds of things that come down the pipe. And when these things happen, like the coronavirus now, we are all faced with a decision. Okay? I think we can all accept the fact it's a virus. It's a problem. It's not a good thing. We might even experience fear. I don't think fear is necessarily always a bad thing. Fear can be a good thing. Fear can be a healthy thing. It's what we do with that fear. And that's the choice that we have. And that's the choice that we are all confronted with at this point in our history is, what are we going to do with the fear that surrounds us? Now, we can either let fear inform us, or we can let fear control us. Now, fear that informs us is this. Fear is something that tells you that there is something dangerous that you need to be cautious about. See, when these 12 guys went in to scout out the land, they saw some of the people, and they talk about the Nephilim and the Anak, and these were ancient people that came from a bloodline that gave them great size. I think they're the predecessors of NBA players, to be honest. You ever been beside an NBA player? They're massive people. Or, a lot of football players, professional football players. I've met a few. It's like they're huge pieces of humanity. It's like, my goodness. One of them gave me this great big hug. It's like, man, he just swallowed me. It's like, huge. So, I understand when they come back and say, well, I felt like a grasshopper. It's like, I wasn't even that big. I think I was an ant. And so over time, there are people that grow big. And there was a number of these large people living in the land that the Israelites were supposed to go into. And, back then, people weren't very nice about, sharing space or anything like that. They were pretty possessive. I don't think things have changed too much in the intervening thousands of years. Nations are still pretty protective of their territories. And so they knew it was going to be a difficult fight. They knew that there was going to be some challenges along the way. And nowhere do Joshua or Caleb in either of these chapters tell the people that there's not going to be challenges. They acknowledge that yes, these people are here, and yes, there are challenges ahead, and yes, this could be difficult at times. But what they say is, we can do it. And they're basing this on a couple of different things, not the least of which is, God told us He would go with us. And if God is with us, then we'll be okay. So we can face anything if God is with us. That's fear that informs. Because I'm pretty sure that they had a little fear themselves. Fear is just that feeling that you get when you know, feel nervous about something, when something you look at say, that's bigger than I am. It's okay to be afraid. You know, what they taught us in the law enforcement academy is fear will keep you alive. And I got out there and I discovered, yeah, that's true. A little fear is a healthy thing because fear informs you. But fear should never be driving the bus. You know, the movie Inside Out where everybody, you know, trying to control the big old control panel. Everybody wants their turn at it. Cute movie. I find it very entertaining. My philosophy is don't let fear drive the bus. Because when fear's in control, it creates panic. And when you panic, here's what happens. Panic causes you to make decisions that aren't good. Panic makes you make decisions that make no sense. Panic makes you do things that you wouldn't normally do, and it makes it to where you can't do what you need to do. You know, soldiers and law enforcement personnel and other emergency personnel who are going to face extremely stressful situations are trained in how to do certain things like breathing tactics and such as that to help control that fear that'll take over, because when you panic, everything goes out the window. Your memory leaves you. You can't remember a thing. Your fine motor skills leave. And the more afraid you are, the less control you have over fine motor skills. Your accuracy goes down the drain, and like in law enforcement, I mean, that becomes a serious issue when people are shooting at you and you're shooting back. If your accuracy is gone, it might not end well for you. I don't know about you, but I want it to end well for me. So I paid attention. Breathe properly. Maintain a little calm. Think things through. Otherwise, you just panic and then you do stupid stuff. Now, I'm not one to point fingers at stupid people, but I'm really questioning why toilet paper was the first thing to disappear out of the stores. Toilet paper.
Yeah.
It's the only thing that was, we went to the grocery store, the only thing that was gone was, well, the whole paper goods aisle was gone. But flour was still there, sugar was still there, vinegar was still there. It's like, just a personal opinion. If I'm stocking up on something because I feel I'm going to be closing myself off from the rest of the world for a while, it's something I'm going to eat. And if you eat toilet paper, you probably should go see a doctor. That's all I'm saying. Why toilet? It doesn't make sense. People panic. They'll do crazy things. Maybe they bought it for their dog to eat. I don't know. Figured maybe my dog loves this stuff. I don't know. But when you panic, you do silly things. You do stuff that, and I'm telling you, when history looks back on this, I really think the toilet paper is going to confuse the historians. It's what happened. People panicked. We want to avoid panic. Panic never helped anybody. You look through history, some of the greatest tragedies have taken place because people panicked. And diseases that break out and have wiped out populations, people panic. It's okay to be concerned about these things. What we want to do is avoid the panic, because panic shuts your brain off and you just short circuit or something. I don't know, you go crazy. So let's avoid that. Let fear inform you. What should you do? Well, listen to reasonable voices. There were two here. And Moses and Aaron were sitting there listening to the reports and trying to convince people, these two know what they're talking about. They're being reasonable. They're presenting the facts. And they're also reminding us of what God has said. Let's listen to them. You know, there are reasonable voices out there. Number one, we need to listen to God. That's the number one person we need to listen to. And if God said, I will be with you, then we have far less to be afraid of. So let's listen to God. There are other reasonable voices God has placed in our midst. You go on the CDC website, it'll tell you everything you need to know about the coronavirus. And here it is in a nutshell.
If you're sick, stay home and wash your hands. Soap and water. That's all it is. Wow. That's it. Wash your hands. So kids, when your mom is telling you, wash your hands, it might save your life. Wash your hands. Run on hand sanitizer. Hand sanitizer is an okay thing if you don't have soap and water, but I was reading another article just this morning about why it doesn't work so well. Your oils on your hands can actually coat the germs. Imagine that. And it actually creates a protective barrier that the hand sanitizer can't kill them all. But soap washes the oils and all the germs that are trapped in it away. So you wash your hands, the germs go away. Use hand sanitizer. Who knows how many yards you're going to kill, and some of them are going to survive. Just a little trivia that I picked up that I thought I'd share. Wash your hands. It's simple. Don't freak out. Somebody sneezes on you. Go wash your hands, then wash your face. You'll probably be okay. And avoid the elderly, you know. And the thing I'm having trouble with, you should do that anyway. This time of year with the flu going around, that's what I do anyway. Keep my distance from sick people, wash my hands a little more frequently, and don't go around elderly who are more susceptible to diseases because it might not be affecting me, but if I pick the germ up somewhere, I don't want to spread it to somebody else. And the flu kills. So let's keep level heads. And let's not panic, because I don't know about you, I don't want to be like the Israelites. I don't want to wander around in the wilderness for 40 years. And just for those who might be out there who have hoarded all the toilet paper, I don't want to go without toilet paper for 40 years either. So let's be reasonable in our consumption of products.
I think we might have to go to a different time to see it.
It's entirely possible. We probably will. But, well, my hope is that everybody bought, like, whoever bought 5,000 rolls of toilet paper, they're not going to have to buy it for a while, so the next shipment that comes in, maybe the rest of us can have some. And for me, it's really elderly people, again, that I'm worried about. It's like, you know, some of them are going to the store to get there, and there's nothing there for them. And they're the ones that need it. I mean, I can make do without the toilet paper for a couple of weeks if so. I mean, you know, I've been in law enforcement, I'm in the Army, you know, I've been through all kinds of stuff. I know how to survive. I'll be okay. But I'd rather not. Therefore, we've rationed the toilet paper in our house to make what we've got last for as long as it can. But elderly people, it's like, I feel bad for them. They need this stuff, and we've taken it. And so we need to just keep cool heads, keep a level head, think through what's going on, not panic about it. And finally, in the history of the world, Christians have oftentimes risen to the challenge during these times. During the great plagues of the Roman Empire, actually, Christianity spread very rapidly because in the like 3rd and 4th centuries, major plagues hit the Roman Empire, and while everybody else fled the city of Rome, Christians stayed behind to minister to the sick and to help and to provide healing for them through their ministry, through their knowledge. Some of them were trained in the medicine of their day. They used what they had and what they knew to help others. And I think that we need to get to that. We need to be that way. We need to be more worried about how to help others through this time than we are about what's going to happen to me and how can I cordon myself off from everybody else. You know, we protect ourselves so that we can help others. But that doesn't mean that we close our doors to people. This is a time where instead of being afraid and driven by fear, we can reach out and help people get through this. And then it'll be like every other plague that's struck our planet. We'll survive. We'll move on. It'll be okay. And honestly, this coronavirus isn't nearly as bad as some of the things that hit our planet before. We'll be okay. It's sad that, yes, we were just checking the numbers this morning, a little over 5,000 people world over have died from the coronavirus. Most of them the elderly, or if they, people with lung problems, like any other respiratory disease. It hits those populations the hardest. And it's sad. And we don't want to minimize the tragedy of any lost life to any disease, but nor do we want to exaggerate the danger that we're facing with this one, because the next one could be a real serious issue. And even if it is, we don't want to exaggerate that one either, because the human race will survive until God decides it's done. So again, I bring it back to the choice that the Israelites had. They made the wrong one. I think it's recorded so that we can learn and do the right thing. And that is, are we going to allow the fear that's consuming everyone to inform us, to remind us of good hygiene, good cleanliness, wash your hands, get the big thing, just wash your hands? Or are we going to panic? And it's each of us have to decide for ourselves. What are we going to do with the fear that surrounds us? Are we going to allow it to control us, and therefore we become part of the problem? Or are we going to be informed by what's going on and allow it to inform our actions so that we become part of the solution? So that we can reach out and help people, and so we can show the love of God to other people, because I think God cares very greatly about what's going on in our world today. I think He cares greatly about the fear that people are feeling, and the illness that some people are actually experiencing. I think He cares greatly about that. And I think that instead of having us panic, I think He really wants us to come together and become part of the solution and help alleviate some of the suffering that people are experiencing. Any comments or questions? Not related to toilet paper.
I got a problem.
Yeah.
Or actually, let's see. When do you think we can get the next stock of our toilet paper?
I really don't know. They were supposed to, well, they told us, when we were there, it was supposed to be yesterday, or the day before that they were supposed to get some. Typically, having worked at Walmart when I was younger, once a week, those shipment should come in, so.
And is there any more people out there that are going to say paper? Because so many people are stocked up on it.
Yeah, I know.
What, is it going to be a diary out here too?
Well,
Go back to your oven.
I really don't know. To be honest, I really don't know. But again, not much I can do about toilet paper on the shelf, so I guess.
Yeah, let's just hope it's not McDonald's and you've been out for a week and then they decide to send a shipment. Because that gets annoying.
Oh, that does. Well, let's have a word of prayer. Let's see if we can find some. Heavenly Father, we do thank you, Lord, for this day. We do thank you that, indeed, with all that's going on in our world, we know that you're still in control. We know that you care. We know that we can trust in you, and we don't have to be afraid. So thank you, Father, that you've kept all of us well so far. I pray, Lord, that you would continue to do so. I thank you that though Casey did have the flu, we thank you that he's recovering from that quite nicely. Just pray, Father, that you would help us to not panic in the days ahead, but rather use us as part of the solution
help us to calm others and calm their fears. Pray, Lord, that you would be honored and glorified by the way that we face what's happening around us. For in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.